Hello, students of class 7. Today we are going to start your English class. And this is your book. This is the cover page of your book, Honeycomb Textbook in English for class 7th. In this book, you can find 10 chapters. 3 question, The Gift of Chapel, Gopal and Hilsa Fish, The Ashes That Made Trees Bloom, Quality, Expert Detectives, The Invention of Vita Wong, Fire, Friend and Foe, A Bicycle in Good Repair, and the last chapter is The Story of Cricket. Today we are going to study the first chapter, 3 questions. First of all, we should know about the author. The author of the story, 3 questions, written by Leo Tolstoy. Lev Nikolaevich Tolstoy. Leo Tolstoy was a Russian writer who is regarded as one of the greatest authors of all time. He received multiple nominations for the Nobel Prize in Literature. He was born on 9 September 1828. He is the best known for the novel War and Peace and Anna Karenina, The Death of Ivan Ilyich, The Kingdom of God is Within You, and Resurrection. This is your first chapter, 3 questions. Now I am going to read the chapter. The thought came to a certain king that he would never fail if he knew 3 things. These 3 things were: what is the right time to begin something? Which people should be he listen to? What is the most important thing for him to do? The king therefore sent messengers throughout his kingdom, promising a large sum of money to anyone who would answer these 3 questions. Now I am going to explain the first paragraph. Once a certain king gets a thought that he would never fail if he knew 3 things. These 3 things were: what was the right time to begin everything? Who were the right people to listen to and whom to avoid? What was the most important things to do? Now let's move to second paragraph. The king therefore sent messengers throughout his kingdom, promising a large sum of money to anyone who would answer these 3 questions. Now the king proclaimed that the ones who give the right answers shall be rewarded. Many wise men came to the king, but they all answered his question differently. Many learned men attempted to answer the king's question, but they all came up with different answers. In reply to the first question, some said the king must prepare a timetable and then follow it strictly. Only in this way, they said, could he do everything at its proper time. Others said that it was impossible to decide to advance the right time for doing something. The king should notice all that was going on, avoid foolish pleasure, and always do whatever seemed necessary at that time. Yet others said that the king needed a council of wise men who would help him act at the proper time. This was because one man would find it impossible to decide correctly without help from others the right time for the every action. Now I am going to explain. Now I am going to explain. In reply to the first question, some said that to know the right time for every action, One must draw up in advance a table of days, months, and years, and must live strictly according to it. Only thus could everything be done at its proper time. Others declare that it was impossible to decide beforehand the right time for the every action. Let's move to other paragraph. But then others said that there were some things which could be urgent. These things could not wait for the decision of the council. In order to decide the right time for doing something, it is necessary to look into the future, and only magician could do that. The king therefore would have to go to magician. Other men said that something could be urgent that could not be left in the hands of the council. It is necessary to look into the future. Therefore, the men suggested the king to summon fortune tellers and magician of his state. Let's move to the next paragraph. In their answer to the second question, some said that the people most necessary to the king were his counselors. Others said the priest. A few others chose the doctors. And yet others said that his soldiers were the most necessary. Now, here, the counselor meaning is members of the council. Now, I'm going to explain. Which people should he listen to? As the above question, the king got several answers. His courtiers and wise men were divided in their opinion, where some said that the inner circle of his most trusted people, the counselors, were the right people, where others suggested that doctors, priests, and soldiers were the right people to listen to while making one's decision. To the third question, some said science, others chose fighting, and yet others religious worship. As to the third question, what should the king do? Some suggested that he should take help of science, others suggested that he should do what a king does fight, show his strength and power, while some suggested that he should practice religion, which gives inner strength to a person and help him to succeed. As the answers to his question were so different, the king was not satisfied and gave no reward. Instead, he decided to seek the advice of a certain hermit who was widely known for his wisdom. He was not satisfied with any of these answers, and the king decided that he needed to ask a wise hermit in a nearby village. Now, the meaning of the hermit is a person who lives alone and leads a simple life. Let's move to next paragraph. The hermit lived in a wood which he never left. He saw no one but simple people, and so the king put on ordinary clothes. Before he reached the hermit's hut, the king left his horse with his bodyguards and went on alone. The hermit lived in the wood and would only see common people. However, so the king put on simple dress, left his guard behind, and went to see the hermit. As the king came near the hermit's hut, he saw the hermit digging the ground in front of his hut. He greeted the king and continued digging. The hermit was old and weak, as as he worked, he breathed heavily. The king went up to the hermit and said, I have come to you, wise hermit, to ask you to answer three questions. How can I learn to do the right thing at the right time? Who are the people I need most? And what affairs are the most important? The hermit listened to the king, but did not speak. He went on digging. You are tired, said the king. Let me take the spade and work in your place. Thanks, said the hermit, giving the king his spade, that he sat down on the ground. When the king had dug two beds, he stopped and repeated his question. The hermit gave no answers, but stood up, stretching out his hand for the spade and said, now you rest and let me work. But the king did not give him the spade and continued to dig. 1 hour passed, then another. The sun went down behind the tree. And the last, the king stuck the spade into the ground and said, I came to you, wise men, for an answer to my questions. If you can give me no answer, tell me so, and I will return home. Here comes someone running, said the hermit. Now, here you can see some new words. The bed, small patches of ground for plants. The new words is affairs, things, matters, and business. Now I am going to explain. The king asks his question, but the hermit went on digging. The king offered to dig for him for a while. After digging for some time, the king again asked his question. Before the hermit could answer, a man emerged from the woods. Now, this is the first part of story. After concluding this explanation, I am going to revise some uh, word meanings that are given in your book. Council, a group of people chosen to give advice or to make rules. Counselors, member of the council. Hermit, a person who lives alone and leads a simple life. And wood or woods, a small forest. Affairs, things, matters, business. Now that's all for today. Have a good day and revise this chapter. Read it again and again. Bye bye.